Hello everyone, my name is Yoko. On this channel, I will be disseminating information that I have collected in English, as I feel that the information that is happening in China is often not accurately conveyed to countries other than China. We obtain information from multiple media sources, so we would be happy if you could give us your opinions on the content of the video in the comments. Also, my native language is not English, so I use an AI speaker to create audio to convey information correctly. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel and support us. This time I will talk about the American economy and the Chinese economy. I recently showed in a video that China's state-owned investment bank released its forecast for the Chinese economy this year in the first half of this year. Among these predictions was that the U.S. economy would stagnate this year and exports from China to the U.S. would decline. In the video the other day, I mentioned that the American economy is currently in great shape. However, since exports from China to the United States are decreasing, I said that the decline in exports is the only area that is affected. As of now, I have made a preface that I believe that there will be major problems in the American economy in the second half of this year. So far, the economic indicators coming out of the United States are that the unemployment rate is low, wages are rising, and stock prices remain high, but overall the conclusion is that things are going well. I don't think things will continue to be good forever. This is not unrelated to the Chinese economy. Although there are major problems in the current American economy, I believe that if these problems become apparent, they will become a factor in the decline of the American economy. The biggest problem is the price of government bonds. This is the market price of U.S. bonds. The price of U.S. Treasuries is determined by supply and demand. There are signs that both demand and supply are likely to lead to a decline in future U.S. Treasuries. First, on the supply side, the United States is trying to increase its issuance of government bonds. In other words, supply increases. If there are many buyers of government bonds, the entire supply of government bonds will be consumed. However, when there are fewer buyers, government bonds will be sold at a lower price, so please buy them. There is a balance between supply and demand, so if demand is low, the price of government bonds will fall. That means yields will go up. If you buy government bonds at a low price, you will get more money back at maturity than if you bought them at a high price. When yields on government bonds rise, buying bonds can provide a safer and more reliable return than buying risky stocks. If you are willing to lend money to a risky area, there are greater benefits to buying U.S. bonds. In order to lend money to high-risk areas, the government will not lend money unless the interest rate is higher than the yield on government bonds. For U.S. Treasuries, there is increasing selling pressure rather than buying pressure. Japan is also selling U.S. bonds, and so is China. In the case of China, it is said that they are selling U.S. bonds in order to maintain the exchange rate of the renminbi, but since the yen's depreciation is accelerating in Japan as well, there is a possibility that they will sell U.S. bonds through foreign exchange intervention. Even in the private sector, hedging costs are extremely high due to interest rate differences, so holding U.S. Treasuries does not make a profit, so they sell U.S. Treasuries. Nowadays, they don't seem to buy foreign bonds without hedging. When buying U.S. bonds, you buy them in dollars, but you hedge them to avoid losses if the dollar depreciates due to exchange rate changes. Specifically, we sell dollars. That way, you won't lose money even if the dollar falls. However, now that the interest rate differential is large, if you hold a dollar selling position, the swap is large, so the hedging cost will be greater than the interest income you would receive even if you held U.S. Treasuries. As a result, there is no point in holding U.S. Treasuries because they do not make money but lose money, so insurance companies and banks sell U.S. Treasuries. Foreign investors who previously held U.S. bonds are now selling them. This, combined with the increase in the supply of U.S. Treasuries, causes the value of U.S. Treasuries to fall. If this continues, American banks that hold U.S. Treasuries as assets will see their asset values decline and their business numbers worsen. The other day, I showed you in a video that a Chinese real estate company called Soho China, which is famous for operating office buildings, is in a business crisis because it is unable to pay taxes. One of the reasons for the low occupancy rate is that people who used to work in the office have changed to working remotely and are not coming back. I'm not familiar with the remote work situation in China, so if anyone knows, please let me know. And in the United States, remote work seems to have a high retention rate. Business models are changing, and old business models may become obsolete in the future. In other words, the business of operating office buildings may become more difficult in the future. It is a Chinese specialty to use subsidies to help businesses that are no longer in line with the times, but it may be important to leave the business model renewal to itself. The business model of operating office buildings is likely to become more difficult in the future, but the real estate industry is generally run while borrowing large sums of money. When a building owner or an office owner runs into a deficit, the bank has to recover the money, so they have to sell the real estate they hold as collateral. However, the value of office buildings, which are likely to become declining industries, is declining, so no company will be willing to buy them at a high price. Even if you try to recover the funds by selling the office building under such circumstances, if the real estate prices have fallen, there is a possibility that you will not be able to recover the funds. If the number of sales increases, it will have a negative impact on real estate prices, and the assets of poorly managed companies may be damaged, leading to chain bankruptcies. By the way, this is already happening in China. I don't think it would be strange if the same thing happened in America. This phenomenon puts pressure on the management of banks that lend money. The price of American bonds and the shakeout of business models are becoming major problems for the American economy. Experts have been aware of this problem for some time, and many believe that the American economy will never return to normal. I said that the U.S. economy is doing well at the moment because there is a possibility that problems with the national debt and business model will emerge. I think a big problem will eventually arise in America. Looking at various data, we have reached the point where there is no way the problem will not emerge, but we do not know the timing. So, eventually a big problem will arise in America. I think something like multiple banks going bankrupt will happen. I think we will make sure that no major problems arise, at least until the presidential election. If something really happens, it will be after the presidential election, so we don't have much time. It would not be surprising if some major problem occurs this year. Regarding the issue of U.S. bonds, China still has a significant amount of U.S. bonds, so it is possible that China will sell a large amount of U.S. bonds. I think there is a possibility that China will be the trigger and the problems that the United States is facing will come to light. That's all for now. See you next time.